Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 55. 55.
We can officially order off the senior menu.
Is it 55?
I thought it was 60.
It depends. Probably depends on the establishment.
Yeah.
Episode 55 of the Unknown Comics Podcast. I'm Brandon. That's Tanner. And special guest Michael is joining us because Chris and Darren are they flying or driving to Orlando?
Flying.
Because they're not taking product.
It's only a one-day show.
Yeah, it's just a one-day show. So they're on their way to Orlando. Go hang out with Tyler and more. So
Apparently, this is like a big creator thing.
yeah.
And if I overheard right, they like Saturday all the creators go to Disney World together and hang out,
Oh,
and then do the
what a
con
hard
the next
life.
day. Yeah,
I've never been to Disney. It's cool.
it's fine.
It's fine.
It's worth it.
I've only been to Six Flags. Whatever. We're poor. It's cool.
I feel that one.
All right. So thank you for joining us for the podcast. So tonight for our discussion, we are going to be going over your top three, or our top three, but you need to interact with us as well, whether you're watching us online or commenting in the YouTube comments. Top three sequels, geek film sequels. So sequels that you enjoy, that you watch more than the original movie because you like it that much more. That is what we are going to be talking about
I
this
had
evening.
the exact opposite problem as I did last week. Last week I couldn't think of anything. This week I thought of too many things.
Yeah, and you couldn't actually pick the top ones out of it. Yeah, mine came pretty easily. It was, I guess ranking them was probably the hardest part. I know number one, there's just no debate to it. So, anywho, we'll get that shortly. So, because we don't have a lot else to talk about. So we did, just for as far as store news goes, the Lou Ferrigno signing did get rescheduled. Mm-hmm. So he will be here on February 4th and 5th?
5th.
Just 5th.
Noon to 4.
Noon to 4 in the store. Of course, we will go live on Whatnot and all that. If you have not yet followed us on Whatnot, you need to do it. It's fun. Even if you don't buy anything, they're kind of just fun shows to just be a part of.
We do giveaways. Even
We do
if you
giveaways.
Don't purchase.
Yeah.
We had two guys tonight that won that had never purchased
Yeah.
anything.
So we have two different Whatnot. Nightbot's listening. It just put the comics Whatnot link up there. And we have two Whatnot channels. We have our Comics Live channel that we throw comics on. But we also, starting tomorrow, for those watching live, Friday the 28th, we will be doing TCG sales on. And so we have Unknown TCG Live. So that link that's in Nightbot, if you're watching live, just replace comics with TCG, and you're good to go. And you can follow us there. So we'll start that starting this week. So if you're watching us on YouTube, if you want to watch us live and interact with us live, we do this every Thursday at 7 p.m. So you can
Central
join
Time.
Central Time. It's very important. So you can join us for all the stuff there
on Twitch, right? Not
on
YouTube.
Twitch.
Cool.
Yes, yeah. We're only live on Twitch for the podcast.
Got it.
So, all right. As far as like geek news, wasn't a whole lot this week that just kind of stuck out with me. If there was, I just totally
A lot of Warhammer stuff if you're a tabletop nerd.
yeah.
Rumors of new codexes, lots of new models. We got the new Avatar Arcane model was leaked earlier today, which looks really cool.
Yeah. It's not enough to get me back playing Warhammer, but it's still a cool freaking model.
There's also Magic and D&D news.
Yes, they announced all the Kamigawa spoilers started today.
And
The previous season.
the Phyrexians are coming.
And Brothers
Shin
War.
Kataxis is back in Kamigawa.
Okay.
And Tamio, the Planeswalker, looks like she got corrupted. So rip.
Dun, dun, dun. Yeah. So and there was talks that they were bringing Phyrexians back probably by the end of the year.
Oh, yeah.
That they play something in the new Dominaria
Oh, yeah.
sets and stuff like that. So it makes sense. But yeah, so they started spoiling Kamigawa stuff this week because that drops on the 10th?
The 11th.
The 11th.
Yep, that's our pre-release event.
Yeah, is the 11th. So yeah, which it's like a futuristic Magic set.
Cyberpunk.
Cyberpunk. Probably not I don't cyberpunk. Yeah, it's more cyber fantasy. It's because it's not all grungy like cyberpunk.
Yeah, that's
Would typically be that kind of dystopian, mega corporations take over cyberpunk. That to me is what cyberpunk elicits, whereas Neon Dynasty is just that retro future fantasy.
Fair enough.
I think it is kind of what it gets. It's like an 80s sci-fi movie.
Yeah.
Like
merged
Boba
with-
Fett Power Rangers.
What?
Explain. Boba Fett Power Rangers?
Yeah, the biker gang he hired. How
Oh, yeah. Oh, gosh.
on their Vespas.
On their colored Vespa scooters. I forgot that they were, yeah. You need to watch Boba Fett, Michael. You'd get it. If you would just watch it, you'd get it.
I'm so confused.
Yeah. We didn't get any there's no new movie dates or anything changing. Yeah.
Critical Role show drops tomorrow on Amazon Prime. First 3 episodes.
Oh, the animated series?
Mhm.
Yeah,
Legends
Critical
of
Role
Wax
animated
Machina.
series does come out. Oh, we can talk about this. I finally finished The Expanse. Did I talk about that last week? I might have. Crap, I don't
I know we talked about it, but I don't remember if it was on
Yeah.
on air or not.
Yeah, it's done. It was really good. And it's like done. That was like
Yeah.
the series finale of it. So you should go back and watch The Expanse. It's really good. It's super good sci-fi. It's 6 seasons. It's all on Amazon Prime. Yeah. We started watching Yellowstone.
Oh yeah,
It's actually pretty good. It's pretty brutal.
yeah.
But if you're into a ranch-based
See, that was
drama.
like all anyone would talk about when I was working at AQHA.
was Yellowstone.
Uh-huh.
Well, so they're actually, so they shot part of they did a spinoff, like a 1883 kind of prequel spinoff. They actually shot part of it here.
Right.
Well, they're doing another spinoff called 4 Sixes,
It's great there.
Yep. Been there.
which is in West Texas.
They were a founding ranch for
Yeah.
the American Quarterhorse
So
Association.
it is a modern day spinoff of like a fictionalized version of the 4 Sixes. So
Okay.
it may not technically take place in West Texas, but because technically there's 2 4 Sixes ranches. There's the main one down by Lubbock, and then there's like the mini one
Up here
that's up here that's
on the way.
owned by 4 Sixes, but it has its own name. I can't remember the name. Something Canyon. or something.
The main headquarters it's on the way to Dallas.
Mhm.
It's past Childress.
Is it past Childress? I thought it was closer to Lubbock.
I hit their horse.
I know it's southeast of Lubbock.
Yeah, it's more towards Dallas because we had to go there and shoot race
So anyway,
horses.
so that may get shot here because we actually have a film studio here in town.
Yeah, the director is a reining horse trainer.
That's cool.
Really?
So all the trainers and judges were all over that show. Yeah,
Interesting. Yeah.
I didn't watch it, but I've heard a lot about it.
Yeah, it's kind of a fun show. It's a soap opera. It's like what your parents watch. I'm old. I find it intriguing. So, all right. Well, are we ready to go ahead and get into our discussion topic? Let's
get into it.
I put the wrong emphasis on the wrong syllable there. The discussion topic. Discussion topic. Oh boy. Yeah, it's that kind of show. All right. So here we go. Our top 3. Now we did have this week we actually had some pretty decent overlap. Last week we didn't because we were just pulling stuff from all over the place. This week we did hit stuff. So we're gonna start with Michael's number 3, and it was Star Trek Into Darkness, of the rebooted Star Trek films.
Yup. I just think they did a lot better job on that one. Benedict Cumberbatch is hard to go wrong with. And
Yeah.
It's been out long enough. It's not a spoiler.
No, there are no. You have a 2-week. There's a 2-week window on spoilers.
The emotional side of Spock, I think, was
Yeah.
just spot on.
Yeah, which for those that haven't seen it but are familiar with Star Trek, it's that reality's version of the Wrath of Khan story, right? It's you don't realize it until like towards the very like last third of the movie,
Yeah.
when you realize, oh crap, he's actually Khan,
Yeah.
because he goes by a pseudonym the rest of the time.
He's a corporal or something like that
Yeah.
in the military because they created his false identity when
Yeah,
they
when
thawed him out.
they thought him out, but they were still the eugenically created. But yeah, no, that was one of the very first things I remember watching Bendy Straw Cracker Jack in. besides Sherlock, which, by the way, if you haven't watched that show,
Sherlock is so good.
that needs to come back.
Oh, yeah.
Hardcore. I don't know that it
You
will.
know, they wait every 5, 10, 15 years
great.
to make new
Sherlock is
seasons,
great.
and they're 3 episodes long. But, you know.
I imagine he's just busy.
Yeah, well, I mean, they had both, him and Martin Freeman had both. I mean, I think they did a season. They did a season after Hobbit.
Yeah.
Which they were already pretty well established when they both did Hobbit. They came back and did, I think, one season since then.
Season 3, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they just, I'm sure scheduling is a part of it. Money is probably a huge part of it because
He's getting that Marvel money now, so
that BBC money can't keep up.
no.
Both of them are, actually.
Yeah, Martin Freeman probably
Is
Black
he in the
Panther.
MCU?
he's in
Oh yeah.
Black Panther,
Yeah.
Black Panther and Civil War,
Yeah.
and one more. Hold on, he kind of cameoed in another one. He was in. Was he in Falcon and Winter Soldier? Did he cameo in that? No.
I don't think so.
Anybody in the chat want to help us out?
Yeah. Trying to think. Martin Freeman was in was that character in a third Marvel movie, but I can't for the life of me remember.
Was it Endgame or Infinity War or anything?
Maybe Infinity War,
Maybe.
because they do go to Wakanda.
Yeah. I don't think he's in Wakanda, though, at that point.
I don't know.
Because
It's been a long time since I watched Infinity War.
He didn't go to Wakanda, did he? They went to him because
He's been-
he was holding Claw.
Yeah, he's
And then
been
they
that character 3
blow up
times.
the
I know.
door and all that.
I know it for a fact. Anywho,
Yeah.
we've gotten off the track. Star Trek Into Darkness. I liked the rebooted Star Trek franchise.
Me too.
I did not care for. I've only watched Beyond once. I don't know that I cared for it enough.
I really like that one. A lot of the cinematography in it is spot on, too,
Yeah.
I think. With the Enterprise and with Khan killing a ton of Klingons single-handedly. Just
Right.
really well done footage there. And then the moment between Spock and Kirk as Kirk lays dying on the floor it's gold.
Con.
Yeah, that.
I mean, but that's. I still think Shatner did it better. Okay, let's see. Here, he was Everett Ross. He was Everett Ross in Civil War. He was Everett Ross in Black Panther. He will be Everett Ross in Wakanda Forever.
Okay.
But hold on. I got to go down to TV now. Okay, no. Dang it! I could have swore he's already been. Everett Ross has already shown 3 times. Whatever. I failed. So yeah. Okay, so we're jumping to your second because our thirds. My third is Tanner's first, and Tanner's third is my first.
Nice.
So we'll get to that later. So your second is up, and that's Chronicles of Narnia: Voyage of the Dawn Treader, which is the third.
Yes.
But is the third book as well, correct?
Yeah.
Or is it
Well,
later in the series?
Technically.
They're not.
Timeline-wise, yes. Published-wise, iffy. Because you technically have Magician's Nephew, which is the prequel to the whole series.
Right.
But I don't know where that fell in his
In
writings.
the publishing. Lion
And then
Witch and
there's
the Wardrobe
also
was the
The
first
Horse and
published.
His Boy, and I'm not sure where that falls in the timeline.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of its own spin-off thing.
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's a really good movie.
Yeah. So as far as the film versions, I've watched Lion Witch and the Wardrobe in like 3 different forms. Like the main film, and then like TV mini, like PBS had TV miniseries and
I didn't
stuff
know
like that.
about those.
Oh yeah, there's older versions.
Yep.
I mean,
I just did the audiobooks as a kid and then went back and read them and
Yeah.
then fell in love with the movies. So
yeah. So I have not watched Prince Caspian or Voyage of the Dawn Treader.
oh, you're missing out.
And I don't know why, honestly. Like we watched Lion Witch and the Wardrobe a lot.
They're so good.
Yeah.
I mean, if you introduce Reepicheep, you're just going to make me happy. I mean, a foot-tall rat that can take out armies
Yeah.
with a rapier, just gold, and his wit is to die for.
Yeah.
But Voyage of the Dawn Treader, I think, has a really good development of character, because you go from hating Eustace to him being, like, the redeemed, great character.
So does Voyage of the Dawn Treader, are the Pevensey kids still in the picture, or are they aged out at this point?
Lucy and Edmund go back.
That's right.
And they take their cousin Eustace with them. And
That's
he's like their annoying cousin that makes fun of them the whole time until he gets there and realizes that their stories are real.
Because the Pevensey kids don't stay through the entire book
No,
series, right?
This one,
They
I
eventually
believe,
just-
is the last for Edmund and Lucy.
Gotcha.
Lucy may come back one more time. I can't remember off the top of my head.
Yeah.
But I know Edmund's last time was this one.
Right.
And Lucy has this not awkward, but tragic obsession with wanting to be Susan. The whole time, every time she looks in the mirror or anytime she's around Caspian, she's picturing herself as Susan. And there's that development with her of realizing that she is made perfectly the way she is.
Right.
She doesn't have to be her sister to be a powerful woman.
Right.
And then Edmund's grappling with how do I lead like Peter did.
Right.
And Caspian is technically High King Caspian now.
Right.
And so there's that grappling of, well, I should be king, but he's king.
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot of good development in that one. And I think of the three films that it was probably the most like high fantasy adventurous to me, because you're on the seas, you're going to different islands, there's magic.
Yeah.
But there's dark magic too, not just like White Witch kind of dark magic, but magic that is affecting them internally, and they're having to wrestle with their own demons instead of wrestling with this like external force.
Yeah. Awesome. I need to go back and watch it.
It's so good.
Like, and as much as, I've read Tolkien, all this other stuff, I've read C.S. Lewis, but not a lot of his fiction, right? I've read, Mere Christianity and all that stuff.
That's a good one.
But Screw Tape Letters, I guess, is fiction.
Oh my gosh.
But like, and I did read Lion, Witch, and the Wardrobe, but that's just because that's the one, right?
Yeah.
But never much, delved down. I went to other, fantasy franchises after that. So,
Definitely missing out.
all right, Tanner, we're moving on to you. Yours is very recent.
It is, and it is the only super sequel on this list.
No, it's not.
Yeah, because it is
Eh.
it is simultaneously a sequel to 3 different franchises.
Okay. I thought you meant like a sequel to a superhero film. I'm like,
No.
The next one is.
It in itself is a super sequel, sequeling 3 franchises, and that's No Way Home.
Well, no, now it can't be because they're all part of that multiverse. So they're all sequels of each other now.
Now it's just a whole loop of sequels. Now it's infinite.
It's Maguire 1, 2, 3, and then
Garfield.
Amazing is 4, Amazing 2 is 5, Homecoming is 6. They're 3 episode like acts now. 3, 2, 3, boom, in that order.
Well,
Yep.
isn't it technically now 4, 3, 3? Because each of them got another movie in this movie instead of 3, 2, 3.
They're not different movies. It's all one movie.
Yeah, but can you
It's like-
consider this one just Tom Holland's
that'd be like saying Captain America: Civil War is an Iron Man sequel.
Kind of is.
No, it's not. It's Captain America sequel.
Really, it's an Avengers
Avengers
sequel.
Well, but it was billed as Captain America
Yeah,
sequel.
But yeah,
right?
well,
So, I'm right.
Sure.
So, yes, I think
This
yes,
this was a movie that was made for the fans.
it was.
That's why it's so high on my list.
I think the only reason I really didn't put it on there, and the reason I'll be honest, I don't recommend Marvel movies on their own anymore past a certain point.
Yeah,
Because
they're so intertwined.
they're
now.
they're so weighted. You have to have watched this now.
just like reading the comics.
And so much of the movies now presuppose that you know what's happened before. The one Marvel movie on my list we'll get to, I think, can stand on its own as a film, and you don't need to know just a ton ahead of it to really understand what's
Yeah.
going on. You would have had to watch the one before it,
Right.
but I think if you had watched those two, you're good to go.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd say that.
I could see that.
Yeah, I could see where you're saying, because everything Marvel's intertwined now.
Yeah,
And it all affects things in the future, and it's like one big messy crossover
It's like,
event.
should I go watch No Way Home? Well, have you watched the rest of it? No? Then don't go see it yet.
No.
It's
Yeah.
Binge watch it the night before, something.
yeah. And to say that you would have to watch other movies outside of its kind of sequel, like just Homecoming, Far From Home, No Way Home. You might be you might
You'd
be
be
okay.
okay.
But there's like again,
So you would be okay just watching the Tom Holland stuff. You just wouldn't. The nostalgia aspects of the others.
I don't-
Be as,
I'm just trying to think if you would have to. You would almost have to have watched Civil War. No, you don't. No, they talk enough about it that I think you'd be fine watching Homecoming without having seen Civil War. So, maybe. I don't know. It's hard to say. Like, definitely Infinity War and Endgame. You don't watch that unless you watched.
no, that was
All the lead up.
13 years worth of movie lead up.
That was not those movies do not exist on an like. And honestly, I would say Infinity War and Endgame aren't good movies on their own.
No,
They're
not.
only good because they tie up all these plot lines and they move these plot lines together. Just if you were to just put that film on an island, is that a good film by itself? Yeah,
Like,
those definitely are.
I love Endgame, but it's not the movie I love. It's the last battle.
Yeah. Which, and then you also have to remember that Infinity War and Endgame were supposed to be the same movie.
Yeah,
They were just going to be two parts of the same movie,
Yeah.
and they end up just kind of retitling one of them. But they were technically all produced together, and it was one big contiguous story.
Right.
I will
So-
say on No Way Home, coming in without the nostalgia aspects, you're pretty much just as confused as Tom Holland the whole time. Because I had only seen Amazing Spider-Man
Oh.
number 1.
See, we went.
Olivia hasn't seen any of them.
We went through and we watched everything like the month leading up to.
Yeah.
I really wish Sony would get their movies on a streaming platform
yes, please.
because we were purchasing them on Amazon Prime to watch,
Mm-hmm.
and we got to Spider-Man 3, and I was like, I'm not paying money to watch
If
this. one.
Sony was going to make a streaming deal, now's the time to do it.
Oh
Oh yeah.
Put
Well, I know.
No Way Home first and foremost.
I know they're talking with Disney, or at least I've heard rumor.
They're talking with Netflix, so
Netflix
they're
instead.
looking at possibly distributing through Netflix.
Okay.
That was the last rumor I heard. Technically, they do have their own platform. They had a share in Hulu.
Okay.
They got rid of it
Yeah.
and what they did is they went and made Crackle. Heard of it?
Nope.
Exactly. That's how successful it was. It flopped. Is basically what happened. Sony tried and it just flopped for whatever reason.
I'm always on the fence of dropping Netflix, and then they either
Mm-hmm.
release Stranger Things or The Witcher.
Well, they went up another $2.
That's why I want to drop it because it's so expensive compared to the others.
Have you seen Arcane?
No, but I also
Highly
didn't care
recommend.
about the game.
I didn't like the game at all.
Honestly,
but I
I'd
really
say-
like the show.
I would say the actual animation's pretty good.
But if they start putting all the Spider-Man content on Netflix, then I'm stuck.
Oh yeah.
I think what I'm going to do to kind of go off on a tangent is, Disney and Hulu will be constants just because we watch those a lot.
Yeah.
And then what I'm probably going to do is that I'll have this third spot that is just open. Well, Prime too, but that's just because it's attached to
My free shipping.
my free shipping.
yeah.
Those will stay along with we do YouTube TV as well, and then I'll just have this rotating spot of Netflix, Paramount Plus, whatever I need to watch
To get caught up on
to
whichever
get
show
caught
just
up on
came out.
whatever. This month it'll be this, next month it'll be this, and then whatever else comes down the line. If Sony ends up dropping their own, there's no telling. Sony could have something in the weights, and if they make it PlayStation exclusive, they're going to get punched in the face.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or you can only get 4K if you have it. If you do stream it through a PlayStation 5, that would piss me off. They've done stuff like that in the past,
Oh yeah.
where they gate stuff. Well, it was Blu-ray players for the longest time, right? Mm-hmm. It was the cheapest Blu-ray player you could get because they were cranking up the prices on their others,
Yeah.
Yep.
so their freestanding ones so much. I'm not bitter. Go Xbox.
It's fine.
Go Xbox.
Let's go. Now we
yeah.
have Activision.
Yeah, so No Way Home, fantastic. But like I said, I would say I do like No Way Home probably better than the other two,
Oh yeah.
for sure.
100%.
Way more than Far From Home. I fall asleep in Far From Home.
Yeah. I don't like Homecoming just because I don't like Iron Man, and it's an Iron Man
Amen.
movie. But I put that one in my list because of the it's such a fan service.
Yeah.
Because there are so many other Marvel movies that I watch. I watch Ragnarok all the time.
Yep. Ragnarok almost made my list.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Just because that and Thor and Dark World are just complete trash.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just, I mean, more so Dark World. Thor, I don't mind going back and watching, but I'm never like, I want to go back and watch Thor. Like,
It's just another origin movie.
I'm cool to watch it if I'm going back and watching chronologically. The last time I did a full watch through, the two that I really had to power through were Dark World and Incredible Hulk. Edward Norton.
Yeah.
Never seen that one.
And he's technically part of the MCU.
Yeah, I know. It's not.
And like I just have to power through both of those.
Yeah.
The next time I do it, Eternals will be there as well.
I still haven't watched it.
Don't.
Now that it's on Disney Plus, I'm gonna watch it just to
watch it just to say you did.
Just
but-
watch the end credit scene. That's all you need.
Yeah, it just
That's really all you need.
it just didn't hit for me. But anyway, so staying in Marvel, we're gonna move to my number 2, which is Captain America: Winter Soldier. I just freaking love that movie. I still watch it. Here's the reason why. Because it was the first movie that I felt, because probably after Avengers, the talk was how long will the superhero genre last, right? How long can Marvel sustain popularity, right? The whole buildup of all the other movies was we were building to the Avengers, right? In 2012 we got it. It's hard to believe that's already 10 years ago. Yeah, that was a decade ago.
I was 12 years old.
Cool. I wasn't.
I was in middle school.
Yeah.
Gross.
I was in college for the second time. So we got the Avengers, and it was how are we going to sustain it? Is it going to get really samey? So Marvel's answer was they kind of started giving the different Marvel movies their kind of own subgenre.
Yeah.
Right? And for the first time, Captain America: Winter Soldier was that political thriller, like that Tom Clancy. I loved Hunt for Red October, Clear and Present Danger, Patriot Games, all that kind of political intrigue stuff. I love that. Captain America had that. It's a superhero movie.
Yeah.
But now you've injected, that political drama, right?
It's the same thing that they've done or are starting to do with the Star Wars stuff.
Yeah.
Star Wars and Marvel are settings.
Yes.
And then you have the genre of that particular character that series.
Yeah. And you're not going to get away. You're not going to get away from superhero.
Well, no.
Right.
And Star Wars, you're not going to get away from sci-fi. But what you're doing is you're splashing in something unique to it. You're telling that subset of story. I think that's what I loved. Captain America: First Avenger is a good movie, but it's just a Captain America superhero movie. It's an origin movie. Winter Soldier was, it was a deep movie too, right? It had that, how far does your patriotism take you?
Yeah.
How far do your core value, how long will people play against your core values and how long will you stand for it, right? And that was that you had to watch Steve go through that, right?
Right.
He just trusted his government, and it failed him, right? And that sets up all, and Winter Soldier set up a lot in the MCU.
Oh yeah.
Civil War.
It set up Civil War. It set up
Basically, really
at the time Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
took a bunch
Blew
from
up
it.
off of it.
I mean, really anything that involved both Steve and Tony in the same movie.
Yeah.
After that, can trace elements back to Winter Soldier.
And I think maybe that was one of the shortcomings of Age of Ultron is it didn't.
Age of Ultron was just the first Avengers, but not as good.
Yeah.
And like the Hydra kind of revelation, was there. They're attacking a Hydra base, but it was like this, kind of small part.
Yeah.
Like I said, I love the tone of it. It was the first time we got to see the Russos direct, and of course they'd go on to do, Infinity War and Endgame. They just, like I said, it was good. I liked, they got freaking Robert Redford to do a superhero movie. That says something. That says that it's not a typical superhero movie, right? You're getting high caliber actors to come in and do stuff, and it really, because you just always assume after Avengers that S.H.I.E.L.D.'s just going to be this agency that's just there and doing their thing, and the whole agency just comes crashing down.
Yeah,
Quite literally.
Yeah, yeah. Just really cool. You got to it was fun to see Zola as a computer screen, right?
Yeah.
And all that stuff. So, anywho, Captain America: Winter Soldier. That was my number 2. All right, we're into the number 1s already. That was quick. We're going to Michael's number 1, and speaking of Star Wars, it was Attack of the Clones, the second prequel movie. Go ahead.
Before you rip into me,
Go ahead.
because I see it coming.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it. I mean, it's one that I grew up on, and maybe it's just
How
nostalgia.
old were you? So 2002 was when Attack of the Clones. How old would you have been?
when that came out?
Yeah.
2 or 3.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so
But
I get it. I get it. I'm going to tell you why you're wrong, but I get why you feel you're right. Is because
Wow.
to me that's like that's your trilogy, right?
yeah,
That was like the originals were mine, right?
Yeah.
When I was a kid,
I grew up on those.
That I grew up on mine, and it's colorful.
Mm-hmm.
It's very animated, right? I would say of them all,
Large scale battles.
Revenge is kind of there too a bit. It has a very, I would say it has an appealing tone to younger audiences, if that makes any sense.
And I think the Clone Wars spinning off of it, the show, lent itself to that.
So, do you remember watching it before the Clone Wars series was a thing?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I grew up on those 3 mostly because my dad being in college ministry, that would show up at movie nights a lot.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
those 3. Padme was one of my first celebrity crushes. That helps. And I really enjoyed the interaction between the droids versus the clones rather than people in different suits shooting at each other.
Right.
Like, just the inhumanity of the droids and the humor behind some of it too, because
Yeah.
you can make it funnier to be killing a droid than it is to kill another person.
Yeah. Which, if we're being honest, the clones are a very small portion of that movie.
Oh yeah.
I mean, they're it's really just the lead in, right? They'd be probably more predominant in Revenge of the Sith.
That's fair.
Why Clone Wars over Revenge of the Sith? Or Attack of the Clones? Sorry, not Clone Wars.
Attack of the Clones, I like the development without the conflict of Obi-Wan versus Anakin.
Okay.
Because that conflict, I feel like, while it was important, really only holds value if you knew the other movies first.
Right.
Well, and I feel like they're 2 different styles too.
Yeah.
Attack of the Clones is almost that political intrigue, espionage
A
kind
little
of.
bit. There's a little bit of mystery
mystery
element,
to
like
it.
what Obi-Wan's little tangent.
Revenge of the Sith is a straight up action movie.
Yeah.
It is. Yeah. So
I think you get more development in 2 than you do in 3 because 3 is the climax.
yeah, I'm gonna tear that one apart. Because I'll tell you why it broke the prequel series. Anywho, it's a whole thing. So did you watch the prequel series before the original?
No.
Okay, you already consciously remember watching the original series before.
Wait.
Did you-
Episodes 1, 2, and 3 were the first ones I ever watched.
Okay, so you watched them in chronological order.
Yes.
Not in-
Because
okay.
they had all, well, I say all had already come out. The good ones that we actually acknowledge have all come out or were coming out.
Okay, yeah, because you probably would have been young when Revenge of the Sith came out in 05 too.
Yeah, it was 5 or 6, depending
Okay.
on.
It came
Timing.
out in spring of 05. May of 05.
Then no.
All of the prequels came out in Mays of their. It was
Okay,
May
then
every
yeah.
3 years. May
I
of
would have been
99.
5.
Huh?
I would have been
You were
5.
5?
Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't watch them until later.
You didn't watch them till okay, that makes sense. So, and then you watched them in chronological, which I don't recommend anybody do.
Yeah, and Attack of the Clones, I think, was the first one I ever saw because it just came on TV.
So I'm trying to think when did the Clone Wars animated movie drop? That
It
was
was a lot later. I
like
was
08,
in high
09.
school when animated series dropped.
okay. Because
or the
they had
movie.
the
Yeah.
first animated series, which was
Because when the
Early
animated
2000s.
movie, the first appearance of
the
Ahsoka,
pilot, is essentially.
yeah, when it came out, I bought that in the Lubbock Mall on a band trip
VHS or DVD?
DVD.
Okay.
Was that 08? 09?
It would have been probably 07 or 08.
Okay.
Okay, hold on. Let's see here. We have the internet. Clone Wars movie came out in 2008. Yep.
Nice.
Okay. So you were 7, right? 7 or 8?
I would have been 8 or 9.
Yeah. Okay. Here's why Clone War. Here's why Attack of the Clones is one of my least favorite. Okay, I'm just gonna start bragging on it that you're wrong. It's opinion versus opinion.
It's okay. You can.
Here's why it is one of my least favorite of, like, I actually put it below some sequel movies. Wow. And Phantom Menace is down there with it. Now, let's preface this. So Phantom Menace came out my senior year of high school. Okay, 99. We were excited for it, right? We hadn't had a Star Wars film in 16 years.
It's older than me.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, okay. To preface, Empire Strikes Back is older than me.
Oh yeah.
So, it came out right before I was born.
Same. Not that one,
But I was super and I was excited for all of them. It's once I kind of stepped back and saw the prequel trilogy as a whole, and then saw what they ended up doing with Clone Wars, that it could have been better. It could have been better by doing this. My main criticism with Attack of the Clones is the storyline is super rushed.
fair.
Right? So you were talking about development and stuff. I don't think things were developed enough before they were put into play. Anakin and Padme's relationship is one of the most forced
Fair.
things. She goes from not even being on his radar to 2 weeks later marrying him. Yes, that happens in real
Romeo
life.
and Juliet style.
But it is the amount of how it flips is just so quick. I respect Hayden Christensen and Natalie Portman as actors. There are other things they've done that they are great in. They had no chemistry whatsoever. And honestly, to that point, I don't know that Hayden Christensen and Ewan McGregor had that much chemistry either. And those are if those are going to be your 3 characters that you're focusing on for this trilogy and their relationship, that has to be on point.
Yeah.
That's what to me makes the original trilogy stand up so much was the chemistry between Mark Hamill, Carrie Fisher, and Harrison Ford.
Yeah.
Like, they worked together as characters together. And that's what Lucas tried to mirror going into it. I mean, the characters were a little bit different. The archetypes were different. He wanted that character triangle, right? It just wasn't there. It didn't hit right. Heavy reliance on CG.
Yeah.
That I thought just didn't hit right. It was very innovative at the time. I'll give it that. Mm-hmm. But it kind of comes back to what I said is it felt very animated. It felt like a cartoon to me.
Which is one of the reasons I enjoyed it as a kid.
Right, exactly. And I can see that. As an adult, it didn't feel like the original trilogy.
Yeah.
They were outlandish, and yes, there was models and stuff like that, but it felt more grounded. This felt like, honestly, it feels just as animated as Clone Wars, right? And I think that they're connected in that way, right? And it's not so much just the bright color palettes and everything. Like I said, I just think like a heavy reliance on CG, you make a CG television series out of it. They're almost the same thing, right? You just, every now and again, you had a live action actor in front of all the animation.
I've always thought that that Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones should have been reworked into one movie, then had another middle movie that fleshed out the war itself.
That's always been my thing is, honestly, Phantom Menace can just be the freaking crawler. Like, he could have worked a different way to get Anakin to
because Phantom Menace was nothing but a podcast race and a lightsaber battle at the end.
Yeah. It is overall what it needed to do was the rest of the plot was inconsequential too. Phantom Menace needed to do 2 things. It needed to establish why Anakin was special. It needed to connect him to Obi-Wan somehow. Mm-hmm. And it didn't need to, but it was good that it did, is to start to establish Palpatine's power base, right?
Yeah.
I think if you had taken Clone Wars and what it did, because that plot was necessary. This thing had been mentioned, right? The Clone Wars. We had no backstory to it whatsoever, what it was. Break those into 2 movies, like you said, and then you can flesh that out. You can do a lot of that while Anakin is still a teenager or whatever. He doesn't have to be a little boy, right? And let it breathe. I think that's why Clone Wars is a better telling. So I'll say this is, if you just watch the sequel films alone, nothing really endears you to Anakin. He's a wooden character that has temper tantrums.
Yeah.
Clone Wars finally makes you care for him.
Yeah.
By bringing in Ahsoka, bringing in a relationship, a chemistry that works. And he also plays, like in Clone Wars, his chemistry with Obi-Wan, totally better. It expounds that relationship. You have to make them friends first.
Yeah.
You have to make them care for each other. And the movies try, but it is so rushed that when it finally does happen, Revenge of the Sith, we know what's happening in Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah.
That story was told. All of this was, how do we get there? And so by the time we get there and we see him become Darth Vader, it's just like, yeah, cool. Check. That's how it happened. They still could have told it in such a way that when it did happen, even though you know what's going to happen, even though you know Anakin's going to become Darth Vader, you can still be like just gut wrenched by it.
Yeah.
Right. And they tried. Like I think the acting level was better in Revenge of the Sith. Ewan McGregor was just great the whole time.
Oh yeah.
He's just a great Obi-Wan. That's why I'm glad he's coming back. Hayden Christensen, I think Matt Lanner voicing Anakin is just the way better Anakin than Hayden Christensen.
I'd agree.
Not to discount, like I said, not to discount his acting, just the way he was directed to be Anakin. I don't think George Lucas is a great director. Honestly, I think what happened was he
had an idea and got lucky.
He told a kid's story, and that was fine for that first one. The second and third, he was ghost directing them, right? He couldn't direct them because of union issues or whatever, so he brought in other people, or he didn't care or whatever. He brought in other people to kind of what their input was or not is hard to tell, but there were tonal changes that weren't him.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that was to their benefit. I think to me, I think he felt the prequel trilogy, it was him servicing the fans, giving them this backstory. I just don't, for whatever reason, he thought it needed to be this trilogy. And I think that's where it fails. There were good points. Like the Battle of Geonosis is a fun battle.
Yeah.
It's like Hoth, right? It's really cool. You know, lightsaber duels and all that stuff. Seeing Kamino, seeing the clones, Jango Fett. I liked that arc. I still think the seismic mine is the best sound effect in a movie ever.
I will say I like everything about that movie that has to do with Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Agreed.
That is a good movie.
And that's probably why I don't really care for Phantom Menace, because he's really just a bit part in it.
Right.
He's there to be like, he's here, but it's mainly Qui-Gon.
Yeah.
You know. And Liam Neeson's great. Don't get me wrong. He was great in that. I don't think Qui-Gon needed to exist as a character. We had never alluded to another teacher figure in his life. We knew Anakin had Yoda and Obi-Wan for sure.
I think the only thing Qui-Gon gives us, and it's not even a real part to the story, it's the what if. Because I think if it's the what if he hadn't died and he trained Anakin, it would have been a totally different story.
It's building Anakin's fear of death, right? The people he cares about die, right? And that's his arc. And I get that. It's better served with, you know, I don't know. And I know he couldn't kill Yoda. He couldn't kill Obi-Wan, right?
Yeah.
Because we know they persist through the story. So he had to create somebody to die.
Expanded lore, Qui-Gon is very important, though.
Yes.
When he first wrote it, wasn't.
As far as a film go, you can't
Yeah, I know.
You can't presuppose that, right?
I know.
Of course, it's all legends now anyway.
Yeah.
It doesn't count. And pretty soon the sequel trilogy won't count either. I have a feeling they're just going to they're just going to come back and say,
I've heard a lot of.
this is Legends now.
I've
too.
seen a lot of speculation that they're gonna retcon that with whatever they do with Grogu and Luke.
I'm so okay with that.
Yeah. So we'll see.
Like supposedly the Luke we saw in the sequels was not the real Luke.
It's the clone Luke or whatever. Didn't he marry Mara?
She hadn't been mentioned in the
Yeah,
what is canon
we
now.
haven't seen Mara yet. There was a clone Luke.
What?
And they expanded. It's EU stuff. It doesn't matter anymore. All right, we're staying in Star Wars, and so this next one was Tanner's third choice, my first choice, and that is Empire Strikes Back, the greatest Star Wars movie ever, hands down. I'll fight you.
It's definitely like the one that brings the most nostalgia for me.
Yeah. It was such a shift from New Hope. Now, I will say this. I know for a fact as a kid, so part of my story is I could not tell you the first time I watched any of the three.
See, I'm the exact same way. I just know we always had it.
We always watched it. My brother's 11 years older than I am. So he would just be watching it and I'd just be there. Right. And I always had Star Wars toys and merchandise and stuff. Right. Because Star Wars was one of the first big merchandised film franchises. There were others, but it was the first one that was just massive. So I was just always like, I never didn't know Darth Vader wasn't Luke's father.
Right.
I just grew up knowing that. Right. Because it was just always there. I can tell you for a fact, I do know for a fact though, I did watch Empire and Return before I ever watched A New Hope.
Yeah, I don't remember the order I watched them in. I know we had a box set on VHS.
Uh-huh.
And
This is the one that had all their half
yes,
prices? Yeah.
And Empire was the Stormtrooper, and Stormtroopers were always my favorite.
Yeah. That was his last cleanup edit of the trilogy where he did not actually add any new content.
Okay.
That was basically that was the last pass where the film got cleaned and touched up
Yeah.
before it went to a home media. Then the special editions came. That was the last release that was pre-special edition.
Yeah, Stormtroopers
It's the true
have
edition.
always been my favorite part of Star Wars, just aesthetically.
Yeah.
The white armor's freaking cool.
Yeah.
And the Hoth battle.
Yeah.
That's what I remember watching the most as a kid.
I think I liked the darker tone.
As an adult, I did.
Yeah. I liked the big protracted lightsaber battle. You know, you finally got to see Vader. Compared to New Hope, like you had one very small lightsaber battle. That was two old men fighting. It wasn't really a good lightsaber battle. This is the first time we actually had one. And the lightsabers actually had their color to them. Because if you probably never watched it on special edition, but like if you watched A New Hope originally before special edition, they were pretty much white. They were both white.
Interesting.
The color passes were there, but they were very muted.
Yeah.
Right? So by the time you got to Empire, they were like vibrant. Vader's was red. Luke's is blue. You notice Luke's is blue more so in Obi-Wan's hut in A New Hope. But like when you watch them fight, like it's like them just swinging two lightsabers together, like white lightsabers together. Anywho, it's been fixed since. I like the interaction between Leia and Han is probably.
Yeah.
I think it speaks to what I was talking about earlier. I think a lot of what endears me is those character relationships.
I really enjoyed about that movie in particular how much he brings the different environments to life.
Yeah.
You know, because Hoth is so memorable, and it's the first time you get to see Dagobah, which is a completely alien world to what we've seen in Star Wars so far. And then Bespin is its own feel. You know, every setting they visit in that movie is its own feel, and it comes to life.
Yeah, which I mean, Bespin is for the first time was all CG, right? Ish. I mean, it was matte paintings and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But there were some kind of elements and stuff to it. But it was the first time you saw a world that was completely out of this world, right? Tatooine,
desert.
It looks like the deserts of Africa because guess what? It was the deserts of Africa. Hoth was Norway because it looked like Norway because it was in Norway. you know, but Bespin was the first time it was just like something new.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it ended like it didn't end on a happy ending. Like it was a cliffhanger. You knew there was another one coming, and that was cool. You know, up until then, movies just all had their conclusions because you didn't know if a sequel was coming or not, and that still happens. But you know, there was no questioning that hey, this is not the last movie. They've got to go find Han, or because if it ended after Empire, dude, you think Firefly people are up in arms? That'd be just rough. So yeah, that is my number one, and Tanner's number three. So we're gonna flip flop to Tanner's number one, but my number three, and that is Lord of the Rings: Return of the King. And it was on your list at one point. It got bumped.
Yeah, I bumped it off just because I knew y'all had mentioned it.
Yeah, well, that's fine.
Had to have some variety, right?
Yeah. So let me go ahead and start since it was my third. Two Towers and Return of the King are both very close.
Yes.
Yeah, I had a hard
Actually,
time
all three of them are very close because they're really
picking one
it's
long
it's
movie.
one long freaking movie. So when I think about it, like, but it's the one that I think I have the most fun going back and watching, just because of a lot of the Minas Tirith stuff. Even though the Battle of Helm's Deep is great,
You got to watch the whole movie to get there.
it's I don't know.
It's definitely the one that when I don't want to sit through all of them and I just want to throw something on, it's the one I go to.
Yeah.
And I usually skip I usually start on the second.
I will say the epilogue takes forever.
It does, but I feel like that's very Tolkien
Yeah.
because the whole Lord of the Rings, I don't feel like, if you want to get technical, Frodo's the main character, but I don't feel like there is a main character.
Yeah.
And he has to wrap up the story for every character.
That and kind of one of my favorite parts of the book, which was technically in Two Towers, got moved to Return of the King, which was Shelob.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
So, like, you know, maybe
do-
Two Towers would have won out if that part had stayed.
I do
where it
understand why they did that, though, because they had to make room for the Helm's Deep battle.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And the Helm's Deep battle was epic. That was
Yeah. I had
that
the
was
Legos.
But then all of a sudden the Battle of Minas Tirith comes and it's just like,
Outshined.
we're just gonna up this.
There's two moments in all of cinema that give me like chills every time. The first one is Theoden's speech before they
Yeah.
charge Pelennor Fields, and the second one is when Cap does the Endgame Avengers Assemble.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Crystal's favorite scene is when Eowyn kills the Witch Queen.
Oh,
Witch King.
I'm not a man.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I am no
That
man.
one's great.
Yeah. Which
So like
that's how
Aragorn's
you do
speech.
girl power, not how you do it in Endgame.
Yes.
Sorry. I'm gonna get hate for that, but
Yeah.
it's true. That was a forced scene. They could have done it better.
I will say Aragorn's speech, Battle of Blackgate.
Yeah.
I have analyzed that so many times in my communication classes. Every year, it's like, okay, we're gonna analyze this. Can I use my paper from last year? No. It's gonna say the same thing. What?
Yeah.
So good though.
No, it's good, and I think it's the movie that really, you know, again, it's all the same story, right? And it was done intentionally all at the same time, and so it's, you know, Frodo and Sam's relationship is going to be at its, you know, most flushed out.
Yeah.
At that point too. It's just that's just part of it. But yeah, it honestly, kind of thinking about it now, it's like, should it really count? They're one film broken up, you know, in three things. They weren't made in separately or whatever. So I guess technically The Hobbit is the sequel to The Lord of the Rings.
Also really good.
It's really good. It got a lot of crap,
Well, yeah. I
especially
mean,
the
if
third
you
movie,
add
because
an
the third movie
extra
is just complete.
not in the book.
It's just complete made up. You know.
Yeah.
Still fun.
Really entertaining.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
Again,
love the dwarves just chopping off heads on the chariots.
Again, though, like, to me, The Hobbit suffers from what I think the Star Wars prequel trilogy did.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to see. I think I love the original Lord of the Rings trilogy because of the costumes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they look
practical
so
stuff.
much more real.
Yeah, like just what Weta Workshop did, like that. And
It's the difference. It's almost, and I know this isn't necessarily the CGI making the difference, but it's the being able to make these characters feel alive. It's the difference between looking at Chewie and Chrysanthemum.
yeah,
Who?
The new Wookiee
what
in
you need to
Boba
watch
Fett.
Boba Fett, by the way,
Got it.
if we haven't mentioned that already.
Yeah.
You
It's
need-
just like the small details in the eyes.
he's actually a character in the comics too, in the Star Wars comics. for the
Afra?
past- He premiered in Dr. Afra. Yeah. Well, no, he premiered in Vader when she premiered before she got her first solo.
Okay.
But he kind of came in with Afra and BT and 000.
Is Afra in the Boba Fett show?
No.
Okay.
Not as of right now.
She's coming. I have not necessarily in Boba Fett. I have a feeling she's coming into the film
Interesting.
tradition. She's a popular enough character in comics
Yeah.
that I think they can't. Plus, she's a popular female character. I don't think there's a way they can stay away from her too long.
Do you think High Republic will come then?
That would,
I don't know. The next round of media is still,
Up in the air.
well, it's still print mostly.
Yeah.
And kind of the next age of the High Republic is still mainly print.
yeah,
So.
I think there's 3 phases of High Republic.
I think they're still feeling it out.
Because they're just trying to feel out this new setting to see if it'll take.
Yeah. I think they just need to go back and do a retelling of Old Republic.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, so I don't know.
I think they need to do an MCU style thing. I don't think they need to take the story verbatim from the video games.
Yeah.
I think they need to kind of just do their own thing, but kind of hit those notes, and I think they'd be good.
I kind of like them staying in this post Return of the Jedi pre-sequel era, this Mandoverse.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stories that they can tell there without getting too close to the actual Skywalker story.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't want to hear any more
Well,
Skywalker.
live action TV series will be for post original. Animated series will be
Old Republic.
will be between prequel and original,
Yeah.
and then new films can be way past.
Yeah, I don't see a problem with that.
That
you go.
works. I'm down.
Yeah, and just see how that works for a little bit, and then shake it up later.
Yeah.
There you go, Disney. There's your roadmap. We've solved it.
You can make the
Congratulations.
check payable
That-
too.
Yeah, like I said, I don't know. Is Return of the King truly a sequel?
Kind of.
It is, but it isn't.
I mean, is the book a sequel?
You can buy it you can buy the Lord of the Rings in a single binding.
Yeah.
Originally, though.
Here's he wrote them all at the same time. Peter Jackson filmed them all at the same time.
I know.
So, I think a true film sequel is this movie was made. It did really well. We're going to write and make this movie.
Like Matrix.
Yeah, or any upbeat horror sequel or Terminator or whatever. There wasn't this big huge story that was going to get told over multiple movies.
Yeah.
Lord of the Rings, going into it, we knew we were getting all 3.
Yeah.
The prequel and sequel trilogies, we knew we were getting a full trilogy. And really, quite honestly, on that token, Empire and Return are that, right? Like, he wrote Star Wars. It could be its own complete film
Yeah.
story. If it didn't do well, it'd be fine on an island by itself. Everything would be great. But once it did well, he knew
Everything
he
after
was
that,
he was getting these next 2. So they were. I guarantee you, he wrote them together. So maybe Return and Empire are the same. I don't know. Now we're getting into semantics of what a true film sequel is, right? Versus what is just a continuation of the first film.
But at the same side to that, we've gotten movies like The Last Airbender, which we know has a continuation of the story, but the first movie bombed so much they dropped the whole project.
Yeah.
They really need to redo that and do it well.
Yeah. I don't know. I never watched the cartoon because, again, I was an adult. So, sorry. And
It's pretty good.
I was not the target demo for that. So, all right. Well, I think we have waxed quite poetic enough about our top 3 movies. That was a good discussion, though. That was fun. Thank y'all for participating and humoring me and coming up with your list.
Certainly.
And Michael, thank you for letting me bash you about Attack of the Clones.
It's okay. I'm used to it.
Hey everyone, thank you again for joining us for another Unknown Comics podcast. If you want to join us live, we record it live every Thursday evening at 7 p.m. Central on twitch.tv/unknowncomicbooks. That's twitch.tv/unknowncomicbooks, and you can join in the discussion live if you want to. On our Twitch, there's tons of other content. We do hobby hangout, comic chat, our live sales, all that stuff at twitch.tv/unknowncomicbooks. Also, if you're not already watching on our YouTube, you should subscribe. We've got a lot of great stuff. Every week, Sarah recaps the top 10 FOC books that you need to be pre-ordering. You can catch the video version of the podcast. And, of course, Comic Chat. We have board game playthroughs. And, of course, our reactions and theory videos for all the new TV shows and films that we're watching. Also, you can join in the community chat on our Discord. The link is in all of our links at our social platforms. But we have a community platform just for you to chat about all the things geek that you want. Thanks again, and we'll get you next week.